How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today I wanted to update this tier list, mainly due to Combo Breaker. That was a fantastic tournament. Once again, very lucky that I was able to attend. Tons of fun there. And while attending that amazing tournament, I learned a few things. I learned some characters are better than I thought, and some characters sadly are worse than I thought they were. So today, let's go ahead and make some changes. As you can see right now, I have my previous tier list that happened before Combo Breaker. And while I do still stand by this for the most part, there are a few important changes I want to get done today. And before making this video, I also did research on other YouTubers who made their new tier list after also attending Combo Breaker. So without any further ado, let's get right into it, starting off with the S tier. So I do still think Garrus is a very good character, but I don't think Erron Black is as strong as we initially thought he was. The guy does have the 50/50s, but not nearly as much as the character like, say, Sonya, who I think is definitely here right next to Garrus. And you know what? I feel like Garrus, once his crushing blows are gone, isn't nearly as scary anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put Sonya in front of him, because Sonya is always scary. Crushing blows or not, she deletes your health bar. And now I sadly think it's time to remove the two ninja boys from this top row and replace them with some other characters. So for starters, we have Cassie Cage. I had no idea how good Cassie Cage was. This character is safe on everything she does. She has almost no risk and a ton of reward. Not to mention her combo damage is not too shabby either, so she's very safe, tons of reward and very little risk, and that's why she's definitely top tier in my opinion. Whereas Sub-Zero and Scorpion, we're going to put them down here for now. I think we're going to move them around a bit, but for now we're just focusing on this top tier. So next up, I think we have Jacquie Briggs. Jacquie is a very strong character. Should she be in front of Erron Black? I think so, and here's why. Jacquie brings things to the table that nobody else has. You cannot throw this character. If you try to throw her and she breaks your throw, she can now do a throw on you. And it's a 50/50 once again. It's very hard to actually keep her off of you. She's very sticky, and her combo damage is also very good. Not to mention her crushing blows are very useful. So very similar to Garrus, she has great crushing blows, but even better, she doesn't need them. They're just kind of icing on the cake. So while Garrus does get stronger with his crushing blows, once they're gone, he's not nearly as scary, whereas Jacquie is always scary. Now with that in mind, you might wonder why I still have her behind Garrus. It's mainly because Garrus is deadly at any distance, whereas Jacquie is not. If you do manage to keep her at full screen and zone her out, she can't really do very much to you. So that's why I'm going to keep her right behind Garrus for now. So that's about it for the top row. Next up, let's look at this second tier. We have the A tier, and don't really worry about these letters. It's more about who is stronger than who. I wouldn't really care what the letters say here. It could be any part of the alphabet. The point is, here's the higher up rows and here's the lower rows, right? From best to worst, top to bottom. So next up we have row number 2, the A tier. And I think I actually like Scorpion being right here in the front, but I don't think Sub-Zero is right behind him, unfortunately. And before, I did think Sub-Zero was stronger than Scorpion, but offline, his overhead is surprisingly reactable. It really is. And he's also not nearly as scary from a distance. He can still combo you. That enhanced ice ball is still scary, but Scorpion is actually better at that. So once again, Scorpion just dominates at pretty much any distance. And Sub-Zero, once his crushing blows go away, he's not nearly as scary, whereas Scorpion doesn't even need his crushing blows, he just happens to have them, so I think Scorpion just barely wins in that regard. But I think in front of Sub-Zero, I'm gonna go ahead and put Baraka. This guy is crazy. Not just his offense, but his chip damage is really scary too. If you're low on health and he's in front of you, you've just lost the match. You can't flawless guard all of his chop chop. You're just gonna die. It's really good. Not to mention his combo damage was already legendary. Especially if the opponent knows what they're doing, they're just going to delete your health bar. It's really good. And the crushing blows just make him a bit stronger. He's really good. And I think behind him, I want to put Centurion. Centurion is much better than I thought she was. I already knew she was pretty much the best zoner in the game. I just underestimated how strong zoning is in Mortal Kombat 11 when done correctly. Not to mention her teleport allows her to escape all pressure. So normally a zoner, once you catch up to them, they're just done. But not Centurion. She can teleport and then burn one defensive bar, and now she's free again. She's either out of the corner, or at the very least, she's mid-screen again. She's reset the zoning. So she's very good at that. She's very slippery, her combos are okay, and her crushing blows are also decent. There's nothing really bad about this character. Her damage is just a bit on the lower end, but once you get a bit better with your execution, it becomes average combo damage. So I think she's fine. I think she's right about here. And I want to put Jax somewhere up here close too. I think Jax might be either in front of or behind Sub-Zero. That's how I'm kind of feeling right now. Jax is really good. After doing my breakdown of Jax and learning all of his stuff, my god, this character is fun. He has built-in 50/50s. He's really, really good, and his crushing blows are just so fantastic, and better yet, best of all, the more he beats you up, the more damage he gets. In other words, his attacks start doing more damage as he heats up, and then he gets crushing blows as well. He has built-in 50/50s. He's really, really good. And honestly, unlike Jacquie, he's also dangerous from a distance as well. He's not too bad when you zone him out. He's still pretty good when he's far away. However, his combo damage just isn't quite there. He does have a combo variation, but a lot of people don't use it because it's a bit tougher to use, so they don't prefer that at the tournament scene, but he does have one combo variation, so I think if they tweak that, he might be top tier in no time because he is deadly at any distance. He just prefers to be in your face, but he's not bad from far away. And you know what, let's go ahead and put Scarlet right behind Jax, and I think Cabal should probably go in front of Liu Kang. And in fact, I think Liu Kang and Katana should be one row lower. I'm going to put Katana behind Jade, and then Liu Kang, I'm going to put him just in front of Noob Saibot for now. I already told you all, remember, I told you Jade was really good. In fact, I might want to move her up, but we'll just hold on to that thought for now. But Jade is good. She's really, really good. She dominates at pretty much any distance, and she takes away zoning if she gets that chance, so she's pretty darn good. I think Scarlet is really good at that jumping distance zoning, and she's also good from far away. She's just very good. Got a really good kit, and she actively heals herself as she combos you, which is really cool. Not just for the actual match, but also for the meta, because as she's hurting you, she's getting health back. So that disparity between your health bars is growing in both directions, and that's a pretty scary thing to think about. And then I think right behind her, I like Cabal. I like Cabal being right here. I think this row makes sense for now to me. Cabal would be a lot stronger if they would let him have his air hook grab that pulls you out of the sky, but unfortunately he just doesn't get to have that. A lot of these characters, their best tools aren't available at the tournament scene, and that's unfortunate. Same for Noob Saibot here. He doesn't have his sickle grab either, and he really needs that. It's a really good move. I feel like his character was designed around that special move because so many of his strings will launch the opponent upward, and he can grab him with that move, but when they take it away, he now gets almost no conversion afterwards, so that kind of sucks. I feel like he was meant to have that move, but he doesn't get to have it in ranked or at the tournament scene. So sadly, I think he is still in this row, still in B tier. So let's go ahead and talk about this new row. So I still stand behind the idea of Jade being at the very front. That makes the most sense to me. I think Katana being right there makes sense too. I like Liu Kang being a bit in front of Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot is still good. It's just he has so many high attacks, and his mid, believe it or not, is punishable. A lot of people think it's not because there's so much space put in between you, but some characters like Sub-Zero can just raw punish you with their slide or their tackle. It's fast enough. So believe me, it's punishable. It doesn't seem like it because the normal attacks don't reach you, but there are plenty of special moves that are fast enough to punish you for doing his only good mid. He really does rely on whiff punishing, but I think sadly it's time to start moving people down, but also bringing some people up. So that's a bit of a nice thing. So Collector is going to go down here. I'm not sure where though. I'm thinking I would put Collector behind all of them actually. Collector is one of those characters who seemed very, very strong when the game first came out, because he has a built-in 50/50 in his attack strings alone. He also has a command grab, and his combos are decent too. He keeps you on the ground, so you can't even drop out of his combos. That all sounds really, really good. Here's the problem. Once you pressure him, he doesn't really have any good options to get you off. He doesn't have a parry, and also he doesn't do that good from a distance either. You can't outzone him. Not to mention his second variation is almost useless, which is a shame. That is the case for a few characters, but also Collector. He's just one of them. His second variation is really not good. I kind of wish they would buff it somehow. His first variation is still fine for online, especially if the opponent doesn't know what they're doing, but at a tournament, I'm going to assume that everyone knows the matchup, in which case a lot of his stuff just falls apart, because he does live and die by that 50/50, and that's the issue. He just has a lot of weaknesses. He does lose to most of these characters, and that's why I'm putting him down here for now. But let's go ahead and keep looking at this row. I think Frost is decent. I think Frost is better than people give her credit for. I was talking with Mustard about it, and he's a strong defender of Frost. I think if they just took away her Glacier Calving and gave her something else, like her damage buff that she has, or just something else, she'd be immediately better. My only issue with Frost is that if you mess up that whiff punish, you've now hand-delivered yourself to the opponent. You can spin to keep yourself safe, but you're still minus, and Frost is very slow. So once Frost is at minus, you can just eat her lunch. Turn her upside down, shake her, all of her lunch money falls out, and the poor thing is just broke. So I kinda wish she had some way to keep herself plus, or maybe get some distance on block with that spin. That way she'd be a bit better at playing her game, because once you're in her phase, she just doesn't have anything to get you off. And that's the real issue with Frost, I feel like. Raiden's just lacking a bit, but I think in the new update when Shang Tsung gets here, he may get a few better crushing blows. It seemed that way in the trailer. So I think Raiden might get some surprise buffs. Johnny Cage I think was doing just fine at the tournament actually. Not so much at the very high levels, but people were doing work with Johnny Cage. So I kind of like where he is right now. So next up we have the C tier. And let's be honest, D tier is pretty much set in stone. I don't think many people are going to argue this one, so this row is now what's left that matters. So Kano. Kano is better than a lot of people gave him credit for. I was playing around with him. He does have built-in 50-50s, and he doesn't die by every mix-up. Only one of them kills him, similar to Sonya. So he does have safe routes. He's also pretty good at whiff punishing, he has some good normals, and his combo damage is not bad. I think he's a fairly decent character. Also his Kano Ball just goes over projectiles. His Air Kano Ball is great for beating zoning, and he can enhance it, which makes him a bit tricky, similar to Scorpion. So I think Kano is okay where he is. Behind him we have Shao Kahn. I like that placement as well. Depending on who you're fighting against, Shao Kahn could be way up here, but against someone who understands the matchup, you can take away pretty much everything he does, and he's just not quite as scary, because he only has one overhead and it's very slow and reactable. It's also interruptible. If he does it up close for a mix-up, you can just jab him out of it, so it's not a very threatening overhead, though it does beat projectiles, and that's pretty cool. I like that aspect of it. And he can also enhance it to try and trick you, similar to Kano. But the reality is he only has lows, so he's not very scary, and his crushing blows aren't very useful either. He does have some good pressure tools, I do like that about him, but his hammer toss, you can just uppercut every time, so it takes away one of his better tricks. If the opponent doesn't know about that, he becomes a much better character, but once they know that, it's a lot tougher for him. He does have one thing that I really like, and I wish that more characters had. His throw actually crushing blows as a punish, not as a failed throw break. And I actually like that a lot. I wish more characters had that, it makes him very scary. So now if you do anything that's minus 10 or more, he can throw you, and then he gets that punish, which is really good. He gets that crushing blow, which leads to a full combo, and in the corner it's even better. So it's really cool that he has that. I wish more characters had that. But I think Shao Kahn does sit here for the sake of tournaments. Online, honestly, if you're worried about this, don't be. Play whoever you want to online, with the exception of maybe these two, and you should be happy as a clam. Most of these characters can still get the job done, especially online, but against a pro who studied every matchup they can think of, it's going to be tougher to win with some characters, and that's why Shao Kahn fits here in my opinion. Kung Lao. I'm going to move Kung Lao. Alright, I'm going to move Kung Lao. I'm going to put him right in front of Frost. Kung Lao was surprisingly effective at Combo Breaker, and it blew my mind. Now I think it might have been because a lot of people didn't know his frame data, because they don't fight him very often, they weren't punishing everything he did, but his Z-Hat is surprisingly good for pressure, and it's very good on the opponent's wake up. You wait for it to go out, and then you do your pressure. You can also enhance it and go for even more pressure. The thing is with Kung Lao, you have to throw all the time, because he does not have a low overhead mix-up, so you have to throw. And the throw is always a 50-50, and when he lands it, he can either get a crushing blow if you failed twice in a row, or he can set it up with that Z-Hat and get frame advantage. So he does have ways to hurt you. You just gotta play him like he's a grappler, which is also true for Devorah, by the way. The problem with Devorah is her combos don't hurt and her setups aren't nearly as good. She can still do stuff. I have seen Sonic Fox setting stuff up, but a lot of the time his opponents don't know what he's doing, and that's why those setups work. If they knew what the frame data was, they know they could challenge most of that stuff and beat her every time. But the point is, overall, I'd say Kung Lao is actually pretty good, so I'm gonna put him right here in front of Frost. Don't worry, baby. You'll be better one day. You're already okay. I don't hate you. I just wish they'd change a couple of things, like maybe even just one thing, and then you'd be a pretty darn good girl. But I'd say that's probably it for row C, and then at row D we have Kotal Kahn and Devorah. Now honestly, a couple of things I want to say about Kotal Kahn. He does have high attacks that actually jail, but only if you hit the opponent with a down 1. So a lot of people complain that Kano Kaena does not have a fast enough mid, and that's true. It's a very valid complaint, but until they fix it, here's how you work around that. You go for the down 1. If it hits, he does have high attacks the opponent can't duck under. Even when they are crouch blocking, the game still makes them block it because they're still not quite done transitioning after the down 1 lands. Now it has to land. If they block it, this high attack will not jail. But the point is, he does have high attacks that you have to respect if he lands that down 1. You can't duck under them. So I just wanted to make that clear. His mids are still very slow, but as of right now, he does have a workaround. You just have to learn which high attacks jail the opponent. And sadly, we have Devorah at the end. And I say sadly because I like Honeybee, he's one of my favorite players, and he was so happy to see this character come back, and then she's just terrible. And she wasn't terrible during the review copy. It was that day 1 patch that killed a lot of her fun stuff. Now keep in mind, if the opponent doesn't know how to beat Devorah, she can still work, especially online. She has some crazy setups. Now it's still a lot of work. You're going to do a lot of setups that tickle the opponent's health bar. It's going to take so many mix-ups to actually kill them, but she does have crazy pressure if the opponent doesn't know how to beat it. Similar to Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn has the hammer toss. If you don't know the uppercut beats that every time, that makes him the toughest character to beat in the entire game, right? Similar for Devorah. If you don't know how to beat her setups, she becomes very tough to deal with. And I feel like just a couple of buffs here and there, and she might climb up the list, but right now she's at the bottom, and some people, especially my Melina fans out there who miss that queen just like me, they think she deserves this. I'm not entirely sure about that. That's different, right? I think that every character should be good. So I do hope she gets some buffs in the near future, but right now she is at the bottom of the barrel. I kind of want to move Jacquie Cage, just because he's sticking out off the edge, and that is bothering my OCD so much. But where should he go? I'll put him right in front of Collector, right behind Shao Kahn. I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, because even though I think Jacquie Cage has the potential to be better than Shao Kahn, you have to find the right kind of player, whereas most people can't play him at that level. It's very similar to a character like Kitana, right? Samij makes Kitana look really, really good, but most people can't play her at that level, so most of the time she's going to be in that B tier, and I feel the same for Jacquie Cage. Alright everyone, that is about it for my tier list. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What does your tier list look like? And then while you're down there, go ahead and leave a like too if you enjoyed this video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.